Alright, here at Albury Wodonga for round 3. We're going to go run through a full track walk today. So right now the track's looking pretty awesome. They scraped off a little bit of mud, but it is predicted to get a fair bit more rain. So we're going to check the track out, break it down the way we normally do. Obviously you never fully know how the track's going to form until bikes hit it, where the ruts are and that sort of thing. But we still like to try to get an idea of where we're going to start, number one, and then look at different lines where we might be able to move around, make passes, find different opportunities out there on the track like the day before. So we're going to run you through exactly what we do when we check that out. So yeah, follow us along. Okay, so number one obviously is we go check out the start gates. Albury is a little bit different to most rounds because we've got a mesh gate. I really like the mesh, so for me it's a good thing. I feel like I'm pretty light, heaps of revs, and I feel like it makes it pretty simple almost, because you don't have to worry about traction, that sort of deal. If it is muddy and wet, that does change it a little bit, because I have raced in Indonesia before where the grates were wet and it was like concrete start. I just full slid off the side of the thing. So that could change it up a little bit, but for the most part it's just unlimited traction. What I did last year, I didn't qualify. I think I qualified 10th, so it was decent. And I ended up going a fairly wide gate, and it worked out really well. I sort of drifted around the outside of the guys and come into the first turn around top 5 each moto. So if I can do that again, I'll be pumped. I think I'll sort of adapt that strategy for tomorrow. Try to get a little bit wider. Obviously, again, it all depends on how you qualify, but I'm aiming to be at the front. So if I can get towards that, within the top 10 at least, I should be able to pick the gate I want within this top 20 sort of range, anywhere in here, leading towards the middle of the track, I think is where I want to be. And yeah, open up that first turn and just send it in deep.
That air underneath that,
yeah,
dude, it's gonna get ruddy just the way it is.
Like, you would be crying if it just didn't rain.
It's like it won't be a very smooth ride.
Look at how rough that is, yeah. Looks like a whoop section in there.
So a little tabletop here. Last year you were landing like basically in ruts, and then you're pretty well stuck in a rut for the next 2-3 corners. You're in there the whole time. So me and Luke were just talking about making sure we open up and look at different lines throughout. Like, don't get married to the one line and think, oh, this is good, I know this line, just stay there. Try to search around a little bit, because I did that a bit last year. I just sort of got stuck on my line. I was like, that's what I'm going to go. I was comfortable with it. It's a little hard right now because I'm looking at it and we'll both like land this section here, for example. Like, we could land right on the left side of this tabletop, open up this next turn and carry way more speed into the little double and the next couple jumps. But unless you know where the ruts are exactly going to be, it's hard just to exactly pinpoint which line you're going to take. But yeah, for the biggest part, I just don't want to get married to any lines this weekend.
It's almost like sloppy, so I'm probably not going to do it.
So we're into where the track opens up a little bit now. So you got the first turn, it's sort of like a left, straight into a right, and then it starts to open up a little bit through those few jumps. And then this is like the 3rd, 4th corner, whatever you want to call it. And last year this was like the gnarliest spot on the track. There was legitimately ruts from one edge of the track all the way to the other, super deep. And it was like you just had to land, pick a rut, and you're in it for about 200 meters or so. It just continued the whole way around. There's a lot of issues here last year. I felt like I got through there really well, but the difference for me, the top boys, that they just did the same thing but just a little bit quicker, just kept rolling faster. So for me, I just want to pick my line early and then just roll as fast as I can through it, because feeling the ground, it's going to be the same way. If it's not a full mutter and it actually tacks up and gets ruts, then we're going to be in a rut from here in this 3rd corner probably through until like the 4th or 5th corner. It's just going to continue the whole way around like a railway track.
It would legitimately be so good if it just was like this.
If it just stays like this.
They need to put a big umbrella over the track.
Yeah.
So moving on from that 3rd turn that's super rutted, you sort of got a little switch back into some rollers that they might have been there last year. I can't really remember the rollers, but I think it was just that gnarly and beat up. Again, sort of the theme of this track, it seems like, is just look for lines all day, is what me and Luke are talking about, because I feel like the way the track is, how soft it is, the lines are going to move around a lot. They're going to get deep and chewed out, so don't be scared to move around, is what I'm sort of going to try to come into the day and think of the whole time. Then you come into this left here, into probably one of the biggest jumps on the track, and it's sort of really, from this part here, the track opens up a lot more. Every turn's sort of pretty high speed, so our goal here is, again, lines. We don't know where they're going to be, but just try to hit whatever line we can keep the most momentum in. Okay, keep it pretty simple, and then like don't, on the easy section, so like the jump faces or the little parts before the jumps where it's not ripped and rutted, I'm going to try to really attack, because there's not going to be much of the track where it's not gnarly and rutted. So the spots that aren't, I'm going to try to make up that time on the easy parts. Alright, so I just saw the posi track cruising over with some big hay bales, and then this section we just come to here, you can see on the ground they've actually got a bunch of hay that they've mixed into the track. Because it is so soft and spongy, they're trying to soak that up a bit, I guess. Get rid of a little bit of that sort of standing water that's sitting there. We'll see how that works. Usually that means that the track won't hold together as well. It'll push up more so little berms and stuff, and they won't have full integrity when it's like that. It just separates the dirt a little bit more. So the track, this is the first part of the track where it's actually, we've seen that, but we're watching them now just unload hay bales and chuck it around everywhere. So that might be around the whole track, and that might actually change the characteristic of the dirt a fair bit. That mid part of the track, it sort of just goes back and forth on itself a couple times. There's not too much going on really. But then we get to this back straight, and it's just like from this roller onwards, it's like just one massive straight from one end of the track to the other, with a few jumps and rollers and different things in there. But we're just looking at this big wall jump here and wondering how strict they're going to be with the low line, because once you go to, it's probably anywhere, but like at the Nationals, everyone always plays with the edges of the track. And if you get to the left hand side of this big wall here, you can miss about 1 meter of height and really scrub that off, and then that's a big advantage. So I'm interested to see if they say something at briefing, because everybody is going to aim to the left of that thing if they allow us to go inside that marker or outside that marker, and no one's being too strict with it, then yeah, you're going to see every single bike aim for that and take the cheetah line.
Pushed out wide. That thing. It just goes,
It's a bit of a drop, eh?
it just drops straight and cut the edge off.
Even if you fell down it, it'd be a hard hit.
Making sure you can search those lines that you have confidence get this right. Just charging, yeah.
Okay, so it's pretty well like the straight rhythm part of the track, just from one end to the other, wide open. The goal is to get point A to point B as fast as I can. So Luke said he wants to see me be like Barsha, just heaps of body English, sending the jumps, scrubbing them. But we did notice this tabletop here in the middle. It'd be the biggest jump on the track, but you've got so much speed coming up to it, you still need to scrub it. And the left-hand side of the track's definitely mellower, so you're going to stay lower, and then you scrub, you stay lower again, you'll be able to carry way more speed through down then into this roller section. By looks of these and from last year, it's like I was looking at them a bit too in depth last year, trying to figure out what to do. But they're not really big enough. It's like last year it was just like wide open and just send it whatever sort of, wherever you go, you go. Didn't really need to think about it too much.
If it had a berm, you would easily do it, surely.
Yeah, we spoke about it last year. It's like these two tabletops, they're close enough together where you'd almost consider, if you had a good run, to just send it and try to get up on top of the next one. And I love doing that sort of stuff, so it'd be so cool. But I think the corners, it's almost like they've flattened it intentionally to be like, don't be an idiot. don't try it.
I'll buy you dinner.
So this little turn before this tabletop here last year had the biggest straight line ruts, about, I don't know, felt like 1 meter deep coming up to this with big holes in them. And there was a bit of a hook exiting. I actually found a super cool line. I'd like hit the hook harder than you probably normally would. I was like almost seat bouncing it and get it to eject me to the right, out of the rut, and then I'd have like a straight, just look like this, like full tack straight line up to this thing. I think finding stuff like that tomorrow will be pretty cool, and because the ground's tacky, you can usually climb out of stuff that you usually wouldn't be able to. So I don't know, hopefully I can find some cool shit like that.
I love that you're that optimistic and it's just going to be slop.
Yeah.
Send it and save your life.
I think you just forget that it's going to be, you look at it like now and you're like, oh, thinking about how it's going to form, but It's just not going to be the same track tomorrow. Okay, so it pretty well wraps it up there at the finish line now. Again, takeaway is going to be search for different lines, try to attack the easy sections. Obviously, we're going to have to see what the rain does, because right now the track looks sick, and I think I'm getting a bit carried away with looking at lines and whatever, because it might just mean nothing tomorrow. Rain looks like it's about to start hitting, but fingers crossed. I don't know, the weather people seem to get it wrong pretty often, so let's hope it misses.